Good afternoon, students. Welcome to our food nutrition and health class. Today with me I have, and you know I am Miss Lewis, right? Today I have with me Miss Rochelle Ford Edward. She will be assisting me in delivering the lesson. Alright? So to my right I have a display here for you to observe. And after you would have taken a good look at it, you will tell me or you will help me to decide what today's lesson is. Alright? So what do we have here on display, students? Food, yes. What else? List of food, yes. What else? Anyone else? Take a good look and tell me what you see here.
Miss, instructions to make food.
Instructions to make food, right? And there's a specific name for that. Can anybody tell me?
Recipes, Miss.
Right, so yes, so today's lesson is recipes, alright? So that's the topic that we're going to be looking at for this session, recipes, alright? So let me tell you what we'll be doing for the period. So we are going to be talking about recipes, and you've done a good job. I've placed on your desk some bits, a puzzle actually for you to help me to define recipes. So in another minute or two, you'll help me to compile the definition for recipes. So today we're going to define recipes. Then we are going to identify the types of recipes. You'll help me also to come up with definitions. I'll give you work materials. And then lastly, we will look at abbreviations or recipe abbreviations. So those are our tasks today. We're going to define recipes. We're going to identify recipes and give examples of them, and then we're going to look at recipes abbreviation. Alright? So I've already have, or on your desk you'll see there's some word Scrabble. So you're going to help me put together a definition for recipes. So who can tell me what are some of the words you have? Alright? What do you have there, Melissa? Melissa, what do you have there?
Can be described.
Can be described, yes. Michael, what do you have there? What do you have there, Michael? So Melissa has can be described
As guidelines.
Michael has as guidelines. And Rochelle, yes, we have a Rochelle too in the class. What do you have there?
For preparing a dish.
For preparing a dish. So if we have can be described, and we have as guidelines, and then last we have for preparing dishes. Class, so let me put that together there. This is what you have there, or this is what you came up with. Class, this is look at the definition for recipes. Let's take a good look. It has recipes, that's the topic, and it says can be described as guidelines for preparing dishes. Do you agree?
Yes, Miss.
Right, so recipes are guidelines for preparing dishes. And that's exactly what we have on display there. Guidelines that will help us to prepare different dishes. Alright, so please make a note of that in your books before we move on. Alright, so we have about the class today. So at the beginning of the class, I told you that there are types of recipes, and there are 3 types of recipes. Alright? So I want you to help me to name them and also to identify samples of recipe that would fall under those 3 groups. Right? So I'm going to give you this exercise. So yes. So you have the definition and you also have a sample of the recipe. So read the definition and then you will help me to put together the types of recipe. Thank you, Miss. Types of recipe. Right? So can somebody identify the first type of recipe for me?
Miss, descriptive recipes.
We have have, yes, so the first type, we have descriptive recipes. Very good. So there are 3 types, and the first we have is descriptive, right? Do you have a definition there?
Yes, it says it's a format. The format is that it has pictures that helps the person making the recipe really know what they're doing.
All right, so can you find a sample of a recipe that has pictures? Right.
It looks like this.
Thank you very much. So this is an example of a descriptive recipe because here we have pictures showing us what we must do in order to get the dish prepared. Right? So this is an example of a descriptive recipe because it has pictures and that's what tells us apart. Another type of recipe we have there.
Standard recipe.
Standard recipe, very good. So right, we have a standard recipe. What is the definition for a standard recipe? And how can we identify a standard recipe, class?
This it has the exact measurable amounts and for the ingredients and the methods
Right.
that we need to
So
follow.
can we identify a standard recipe there?
Yes, Miss, I
Right.
have a picture here.
So good. So this recipe has the amounts, like for example, we have these 3 eggs. So they're telling us not only what we should do, but how much of it that we should do, right? So we have 3 recipes there. We have a standard recipe where it gives us an instruction. It also tells us about amounts. All right. And the last of the 3 groups would be,
Miss Action Recipe.
right. So we have action recipe. And what do you think your action recipe is all about, class? Anybody wants to help me there?
But Miss, when it say action, it fight it? The recipe fight it?
Yeah, fighting is an action. But do we fight when we're in the kitchen with dangerous tools, student?
No, Miss, no, Miss.
No, we shouldn't fight in the kitchen. We should actually do things that will promote safety, right? So think about it.
It has the directions written with the ingredients. It is usually written in a paragraph form.
Alright. So that is the action. The action is it takes you into a direction, right? So that is the action. No fighting, but rather where it tells us where exactly we need to go and what we should be doing. So all of the instructions are written in paragraphs. Right?
Okay, Miss, okay.
So that's where the action comes in. How it is written and what we're supposed to do at that point in time. So that's the action thing. So yes, so we've looked at recipes or the definition, and then we have the 3 types here. So Miss Rochelle is going to help me to do the very last piece of our activity. All right?
Okay, students, good afternoon. Once again, I will now distribute the worksheet so that you guys can complete for me.
All right, so I have the worksheet. Miss is going to tell you what to do.
Go to on the worksheet here. On the worksheet, we will be looking at the recipe abbreviations for a miss, right? Because we know a recipe gives us the instructions, it gives us the ingredients, right? And also in the ingredients, sometimes it gives us the short format for some abbreviations. That's so, class.
Yes,
Right,
Miss.
so the worksheet is about that. So you'll complete that in 2 minutes for Miss, please. Thank you. Okay, students, thank you for completing this activity. I would like you guys to tell me in your own words what is abbreviation. John? Rochelle?
Yes, it's a shortened form for a word.
Great. It's a shortened form for a word. Give her a clap there for me. Right. So I would like someone else now to look at the sheet and tell me 2 abbreviation for 2 form of the word that you saw there. What we have there for a cup?
I just think
Take your time. What we have there for a pound?
This LB.
Alright, so
Okay.
LB.
We write LB first or we put it pound? What we do it
Pound
first?
first and then LB.
Great. So we put the word pound and then we put the abbreviation which is LB. Okay. If miss another one there that you see there,
This teaspoon.
how do we write the teaspoon?
TSP.
Is that first?
Yes, miss, she's correct.
Okay, teaspoon. Great, so it seems that my students are bright. You guys grasp the concept. And that is great, okay? Let's try another one. Ounces or ounce, you see anything there?
Yes, miss.
Okay.
OZ.
Great. So we have ounces and the short form for that is OZ or OZ, right? Thank you. You guys were a great bunch. Let us do a little recap now of the lesson today, students. So myself and Miss Andrea Lois, we looked at the topic recipe. Miss allow you guys to view the recipe on display. Is that correct?
Yes, miss.
Right. So we come up with the topic which is recipe. Then she gave you some words and you have to unscrabble it to get the definition. Is that correct?
Yes, miss.
Good. So we know what is a recipe and read for me class. A recipe is
Described as a guideline for preparing dishes.
great. So it can be described as a guideline to prepare dishes, right? Then I distribute different recipes to you guys and you have to identify them, right? So we look at recipe types or forms. And we said there are how many forms of recipe?
3 forms.
Great. And those forms are descriptive, standard, and action. Great. And then from that, I take it to an activity with the abbreviation. Is that so?
Yes, miss.
And we also look at the definition of abbreviation. Is that so?
Yes, miss.
And also we went through some short form where you guys gave me it and we wrote it on the board. Is that so?
Yes, miss.
Good. So now I have an homework for you guys to do for me. You're going to insert 2 pictures of each of the forms of recipe that we have here, or the type. Is that understood? Into your books, right? Depicting the 3 different types. Is that understood?
Yes, miss.
Okay, students, you guys was a great